Hello friends, I am Nisha Sharma, Associate Professor, Department of English. Today we are going to discuss the topic George Herbert's poem The Police Critical Appreciation. George Herbert's metaphysical poem The Pulley is one of his best known. In it, he uses a conceit, a type of figurative language that is most commonly associated with John Donne. Restlessness, the longing for something different, something new, or something more, seems to be part of the human condition, and in this poem, George Herbert reflects on this human characteristic. The title is a metaphor drawn from mechanical engineering. A pulley is a device with which, by pulling down, you lift something up. Restlessness is a device by which God lifts men and women to Himself. In this poem, the conceit revolves around the pulley. He uses it to depict humanity's restless nature and the reason why human beings are incapable of being satisfied. When considering this conceit, think about the way that a pulley creates force and leverage. God kept rest to himself in order to always be able to pull mankind back. But this choice means humankind is continually running from place to place seeking out satisfaction. Now, summary of the poem Pulley. The Pulley by George Herbert speaks on one part of the Christian creation story, in which God chose to imbue humanity with blessings. The poem is built around the conceit of imagining God in the process of making human beings. It has echoes of the story of creation in the opening of the Bible, the first chapter of the book of Genesis. Herbert uses the word men in the sense of humankind, as was typical of all writers in his era. After God made this universe, He gathered all the blessings of the world in a glass and distributed them to the human beings one after another. First, He gave the strength. Therefore, human became strong enough to survive. One by one, God gave them beauty, wisdom, honor, pleasure, and many other blessings. When almost all was gone, God kept rest at the bottom of the glass, thinking that both should losers pay if the rest is given. When they get all they want in the sense of sufficiency, they may forget God. On one hand, when human beings get rest, they forget God and take a rest. As a result, God will lose the love and affection of human beings. On the other hand, when rest is given, people will lose strength, honor, wisdom, and beauty and all other human capacities. God knows the man is by birth prone to lethargy. They will get rest at the cost of the progress. Progress and the rest never come together. We get one losing the other. God is sure that men will only praise the things God has given to them, not the God Himself. Mankind will lose their essence, get tired, and wander in search of rest. In the concluding part of the poem, Herbert gives two reasons behind human going to God. First, they will go to God out of the goodness, faith, or divine emotions and inborn loyalty for Him. Secondly, if they do not go to God out of the first cause, they will go to Him when they are tired. Weariness takes human beings to the shadow of God. So, the God decides to keep the mankind away from the rest so as to make him feel the eternal rest can only be found in God. For the sake of the rest, at least men will remember to God and go to Him for His love and rest. The repining restlessness or the discontentment with the worldly things will finally lead a man to God. He wanted men to discover the real rest only in Him. He alone can truly give the mankind the rest they frantically seek. The poet answers in a simple tone that the reason behind men being so unsatisfying and weary is that God has not bestowed us with his precious jewel rest, but kept the jewel rest with him. So, for the sake of rest, we always run from here to there. We think now we are complete because we have everything. But the moment we feel so, another moment we feel empty and become restless. This is what exactly God wants us to be. If this happens to us, then only we remember God and go to Him for the rest. Now, theme. Herbert was interested in exploring themes of religion and human nature. This poem provides the reader with an image, an idea of how God bestowed various traits on humanity. The speaker describes these traits, which are the best that humanity has to offer, flowing from God. But human nature was also influenced by that which God did not give rest. Structure and form of the poem Pulley. The Pulley by George Herbert is a four-stanza poem that is separated into sets of 5 lines of quatrains. A quatrain or pentastitch is any poetic form containing 5 lines. Each of these quatrains follows a structured rhyme scheme. They conform to a pattern of A, alternating and sounds as the poet saw fit. The consistent repetition in the rhyme helps to give the poem an overwhelming feeling of unity. This makes sense as the entirety of this piece is a dialogue spoken by God or about God. A reader should also take note of the moments of repetition in the starting words of the poem. There are a few moments in which these words rhyme. One noticeable instance is in stanza 2 with the words then and when at the beginning of lines 2 and 3. There is also an example in stanza 3 with so and bestow in lines 2 and 5. In regards to the meter, the lines are also very consistent. The regularity of the rhyme scheme gives the poem a very structured feeling. A reader learns what to expect from line to line, and at least in regards to structure, there are no surprises. Literary devices in the pulley. In the pulley, Herbert makes use of several literary devices. These include but are not limited to alliteration, metaphor, and imagery. The latter is seen through the creative images that Herbert describes of the highly lightly personified forces making their way out of God's belonging and into humankind. The last rest lay on the bottom when all the rest of the treasures had departed. Alliteration is a common technique that helps to increase the overall rhyme and rhythm of a poem. For example, let and lie in line 4 of the first stanza, as well as the repetition of nature in stanza 3. Conceive. Throughout this poem, as stated in the introduction, Herbert makes use of a metaphysical conceit. This technique is comparable to a metaphor but is much more complex and original in nature. In this case, Herbert uses a pulley to describe the relationship between humanity and God. Title of the poem. The title of the poem, The Pulley, is a conceit that carries the theme of the poem. In pulley, from the mechanical point of view, to operate it, a kind of power and force has to be applied to one end to lift the object of the other end. The force applied makes a difference to the weight that is being lifted. The rest that God keeps with him is the leverage that draws the mankind towards God. Two quite different objects are forcefully compared here, one from the pure physics, that is pulley, and the other from the pure religion, that is God. The relationship of man and God is compared with the metaphorical pulley. To pull mankind back to the God, back to his origin, God keeps man away from the rest. This can only be possible in the metaphysical conceit, so the title is thematic. These different periods of activity, exhaustion, rest, and rejuvenation are just as integral to human existence as are strength and wisdom. It seems that Herbert's God has chosen to add them for a reason that appears entirely selfish, though it is not clear, at least through these few lines of reasoning, How weariness helps humanity aside from forcing them closer to God. The poem imagines God adding different qualities to this new creation, pouring them in as a cook might pour ingredients in a cake. He is a generous creator. All his blessings, all the world's riches are given to humankind except for one. Rest in the Christian tradition is one of God's gifts. Jesus said, "Come to me, all that are weary and carrying heavy burden, and I give you rest." Rest is also used as a picture of the destiny God promises to those who walk in His way, a picture of heaven. It is a precious jewel. God pauses before He adds this final gift. If He gives this, people may adore my gifts instead of me. Some commentators have seen this as God being manipulative, not giving human beings the gift of rest so as to make them turn to Him. Herbert's response is in the final line of that verse. If someone finds satisfaction in God's gifts and does not come to know God Himself, then both God and the person are impoverished. Both should lose its way. He starts the final verse with a pun playing on another meaning of the word rest. Remainder, what is left? Human beings are both richly endowed, but also very dissatisfied, tired of what they have. And this with weariness tosses, flings them into God's embrace like a restless, unhappy child wanting to be hugged and flinging itself into its father's arms. Thank you.